Good afternoon. Welcome to a webinar with WordPress. I'm Dante, and I'm joined on here by Rifat from True Blue IT Services as well, who will be helping me with a bit of the finer points around when you'll need help with WordPress further down the track. But I'll hopefully get you most of the way there by yourself, so you won't have to sort of go too far for help. But it's good to know that with WordPress, it's one of those systems where there's lots and lots of help there. I'm currently in Melbourne, so I'm in a hotel room. So I really do hope that my internet holds out really well. So let's get that screen shared and let's get it underway. But what we're really looking for today is, I guess, for the option for you to be able to do more than just play around with the idea of WordPress, but get yourself set up in a way that you've got all the right stuff to be able to get your WordPress site easy to be able to maintain as well. Because that's one of the big problems with WordPress is that some people, they have some grand dreams of getting a great WordPress site, but then once it's set up, they don't know what to do with it. So hopefully we'll help get you around that. And if not, I've got people on the line who can help out if things don't go quite according to plan. So still trying to share that screen. It won't be a second. Used to having a lot more monitors around me than just the one. There we go. We get started. So what we're doing is, I've built probably close to 30, it'd be over 3,000 WordPress websites since 2012. But that's kind of cheating because I used to have a digital marketing agency and it wasn't always me that built the sites. But look, out of that, I probably built about 1,000 of them, which is a heck of a lot of websites. But what it is, it just gave me a really fine look at what things work and what don't work on WordPress, and when you can get away with free things to do what some paid things do. But there are two very different versions of WordPress. There's the one where you buy a domain name, where you buy web hosting, you install WordPress onto your web hosting, you build your site, you manage the updates, all that kind of thing. And then there's this other WordPress where you pay a monthly or an annual fee, and that includes your domain name and your hosting and your updates and all that stuff. So it gives you sort of an all-in-one package that allows you to do all that. But it does cost you a bit more to do that. And there's all different tiers of it, and you can do this and do that. And then there's other services like WP Engine and Kinsta, which will package all that together as well in their own version and let you do that with their own specific version of WordPress as well. So there's lots of different options with WordPress. There's things that look like WordPress but aren't WordPress. There's other systems like Joomla, and look, there's tons of them. We're just going to look though at the first kind, the bit where you actually own your own install on your own web hosting, rather than you having to pay a third-party cloud company to be able to do this. So the first thing you have to do is get yourself a domain name. So if you don't have one of those, you basically start off here, whether you want a .com or you want a .com.au or an .au or whatever. It's one handy thing that if you have if you haven't been able to get a .com.au with the name you want, or a .com, there's a lot of availability with the .au top level domains as well. So just because you can't get the .com.au doesn't mean you can't get the .au. Not everyone was smart enough to go and buy the .au separate to the .com.au. So keep an eye out for that one. Sort of getting your eye around it. .au is what they call AU direct. So it's a very shorter name. So let's say I use my name, DanteStJames.com, or I can have DanteStJames.com.au, but now I can also have DanteStJames.au. I don't think I own that one yet. So you might be able to go and get it instead. There's .net.au, .org.au if you're a not-for-profit organization. .id.au is for individuals. So it's just for your personal page or something. And .asn.au is for Australian, associations, community groups, business associations, all those kind of things. But the reality is most people just go with the .com.au if they don't go for the .com. Now there's like tons of others. You can get .biz, .tld, .fm, .am, .tv, there's tons of other top level domains, even .media and .marketing, that all have various costs associated with them. But really the trust factor seems to really be with these guys, the ones that are within Australia that actually look like Australian businesses and actually require you to have an ABN and proof that you're operating in Australia to be able to have those domains. So there's a little bit more safety and protection that's afforded by having a .au at the end of your domain name. Now, the second part is your web hosting. Now, web hosting is, I don't know, for a lot of people, it's been a great mysterious thing. Oh, the web hosting in the cloud thing. It's not really that big a deal. There are literally hundreds of web hosts in this country. Heck, I've been been one before. I sold off my web hosting arm of my digital marketing business back in 2022, and I had about 600 websites hosted on it, and I was selling web hosting to people as well. And like anyone can become a web host. You can either become an affiliate of someone else who's a web host, or you go with one of the major web hosting companies. Like some of the bigger ones in Australia, be like SiteGround is used very heavily. Venture IP, who I think are probably one of the best in Australia. They're Australian. They're located. Excuse me, I got hiccups now. They're located in Australia. They're very well regarded and they're fast, and their servers aren't sort of oversold, as you'll find with a lot of those cheap offshore kind of web hosts, where you get, very much like cramming the server. So in the world of web hosting, you do tend to get what you pay for. So if you're like hosting with something like Crazy Domains or those guys, they're terrible. They run slowly. The versions of the software running the server are often quite old and out of date, which makes it run slower, which means it's often you're updating things in WordPress. You can't update because they're requiring a newer version, and that web host hasn't upgraded that version yet. But the ones you see on the screen here, SiteGround, Venture IP, I'd say Digital Pacific is also a very good one, based in Australia. Hostinger, HostGator, and Bluehost are very good with their updates for, and I know this is going to sound like gobbledygook, but like PHP and MySQL versions and Postgres SQL and MariaDB and all these different things. They run at a very, the latest version, and PHP MyAdmin and all those things, they run at the latest version, including things called cPanel. And cPanel is kind of the interface that you can work with in the back, allows you to sort of arrange your web hosting and multiple sites and that sort of thing. But these guys on screen are ones I have personally used, in many of their cases. In the case of like Hostinger, Bluehost, Ventura, and SiteGround, I use them now. So they're actually ones that I do use now that I have a great deal of trust in. And I've got friends who use Bluehost, and they say it's excellent. HostGator, I've had people say that that's quite excellent too. So that you can also, through a lot of these services, buy the domain name too. They will sell you the domain name as well. It's just that not all of them, particularly those outside of Australia, may also sell the .com.au. I believe all these guys do, but not all of them will. So just be careful with that, just in case you get stuck with one, thinking you're getting it all in one, and they're including a domain name, and then you find the domain name is not a .com.au, but just a .com. That might not matter to you, but it's just something to watch out for. Other tricks to watch out for. I got scammed with this one so badly back in about 2019. It was introductory pricing. They will advertise that you're going to get it for $8 a month. But in the very fine print, somewhere hidden away, is you'll get it for $8 a month if you buy an annual plan. So you got to pay for it up front. Plus, you'll only get it for that one. Then after that end of that $8 a month plan, at the end of the 12 months, again, it goes up to double the price. That is so common in the cheaper web hosts, and it's why you've really got to take notice of what you're buying. Like I said, you do get what you pay for in web hosting. There are discounts for annual. They usually will package in a 12-month plan or a 24-month or even a 36-month plan for significant discounts, I would say, on the monthly price. One thing that does very often happen with anything digital really is no reminders before they do the renewal, which is very annoying when you got an annual plan, for instance, where they're saying, okay, at $8 a month, that's okay, that's going to be 12 months, $96. Okay, yeah, I can do that. And then the next year comes along, they didn't remind you they're about to take that out. So you may not have transferred the money, or you may have just had a bad month. You haven't got as much money as you would like. And next thing, $100 gone from your account. Bearing in mind too, if they're not Australian web hosts, that $96 is not $96. It's 96 US dollars. So what, about $140, $150 these days? So that's another trick you got to watch. The prices that are quoted, unless otherwise stated, are usually in American dollars. Now, those Australian web hosts, Venture IP, Digital Pacific, even SiteGround, they will quote you the price in our local currency. So you've got a little bit more trust there. And then there's another one, the inode limits. So don't get necessarily hooked in by these cheap web hosts and say, oh, it's unlimited, 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 everything's unlimited, because it's not. There's always something they're going to catch you for. And one of them is inodes. Now, inodes are the individual files that are in the site. So they'll have maybe, let's just say, a 200,000 inode limit, or more often, probably about 20,000 inode limit. Now, WordPress itself could have hundreds of files. And sometimes as you have a lot of things you've uploaded into it, pictures, videos, all that sort of thing, you could have thousands of files. And it's amazing how those inodes get chewed up really, really quickly. So that's the one thing they don't generally have as unlimited, most of them. Some of them are not too strict about it, but a lot of them, they say, oh, look, yeah, it's unlimited bandwidth for usage, unlimited space on the server. There's the trick. You get unlimited space. Oh, great. I can load all my photos up there. But every file is what they call an inode. And the inode has got limits on every one of these providers. They'll have a limit. So that's a little something that you might get caught out with when they're doing that. So what you might need to ask is if someone says it's unlimited space, ask them what the inode usage limits are, because that's a little trick. I know, but how would you know to ask that, right? How would you know? No, you wouldn't. So it's one of those things where, take my advice on that one. Ask about their inode limits, particularly if you're planning on building multiple websites on the one service, or you've got a website that's going to host like lots of files, like videos and other files and downloadables and images. All of those will count for inodes. The third step is WordPress. Now, remember, we're not going to go the hosted one. We're going to do the self-hosted one, which is that we are the self doing the hosting. So we're going to go and look at how that works. So let's go live now and have a look at what it is. I'm going to start off with my SiteGround account. So in this SiteGround account, you can see a bunch of websites I've already organized in there. I've got some real sites. I've got some what they call subdomains in there as well. I'm going to go in the one. So I'm going to go in this reports one. So in my site tools, now your web hosting may look different to this. SiteGround's got a very specific simplified layout for how they manage things, but we'll go and look at a cPanel site, which is what a lot of them are in a sec. In here, it's immediately got a tool where I can install and manage WordPress. So I can pop in there and I can just straight away just install it with one click. So let's do that. We're going to install. I'm going to put it into a folder, subfolder of April 2020. Let's maybe not make that April 2020. Let's make it, what is it, November 2025. So what it's going to do is going to save in at a particular web address, which is going to be reports.clickstarter.com.au/November 2025. Now, that is not what yours is going to be like. Yours is probably going to be a lot more simplified than that. It'll just be yourdomain.com and it wouldn't even have a / just be yourdomain.com. Got a couple of things here you can do. You can install just WordPress, or you can install WordPress with WooCommerce. Now, WooCommerce, think of it as Shopify, but for WordPress. There's more WooCommerce websites in the world by far than what there is Shopify website. So it's the e-commerce, take payments, downloadables, and sell real products and shipping and all that. It's a very complex, very multifaceted e-commerce solution for WordPress as well. I've used it before. It's pretty simple to set up. You can get up and going for free if you're just going to be posting things out yourself through Australia Post, and you've got a set shipping rate that you want to do, a flat rate. When it comes to calculations of shipping and different shippings for different locations, having to take into account weights and dimensions of what you're shipping, that's going to be a little more tricky. So you're going to require extra plugins, and that's another world of WordPress you'll see once we go into this one. So I'm just going to generate a password over here. I don't care if anyone can see that, because it's just going to be a temporary password for a temporary site that I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to copy that. That's going to be my login for it. My email, let's just go info@clickstarter should do. It says install with WordPress Starter. I'm going to install it with WordPress Starter just so you can see what it does. But honestly, I would not do that, only because I want a bit more control over the things that I want to install. So in this case, we're not going to go with the WordPress start. We're just going to go with the install, and we're going to install the bits that we need based upon the things I know that have made my life in WordPress easier. Even though I don't have the digital agency anymore and I don't host the 600 sites, I've still got about 30 that I have to host and look after because there are friends and family and all the stuff that we nerds get caught with because we're the ones in the family who know how to restart a computer. So that's now going and installing WordPress on my SiteGround account. It's now done it. Already done. I can go and view the site. So the very base bare bones of the site has been installed. Doesn't look particularly inspiring. That's because it's using the very default theme, right? There's got nothing in it that's particularly outstanding. Where the power is, though, is in behind this admin panel. The admin panel is the back side of WordPress. So in here, it's kind of giving me a page not found. Of course, it's giving me page not found because it's gone the wrong place. So if I go here, WP admin is where they usually are. I'll go in there. It's going to go into the back of my WordPress. So it didn't quite click through the right place. So for every WordPress site, unless it's been set up with specific security plugins that stop this, I'll try and I can't really make it bigger, but up here at the top in the address, you can see reports.clickstarter.com.au/April 2020/WP admin. That is the address that will get you to the login screen of a clean WordPress site that hasn't had a lot of security plugins sort of blocking that particular site. Some people will want to block that from being accessible simply because they want to be able to hide the fact that they're using WordPress or put another barrier in front of people who are using bots to try and take over their sites. And that is a very real problem that you do get with WordPress. And we're going to throw in a couple of security things in this install just to help you to get the things you need for the bare basics of WordPress, right? So at the moment, we're not even building out our pages. We're not even looking at themes or anything. We're just going to get the bare bones in here. So we've got our WordPress. I can dismiss that message. This is a bit of a status screen. None of this really means anything. I don't know if anyone even uses this. But what we might want to do is start sort of putting things in place in our WordPress that help us to build what we want to build. So what we can do is go to over here on the left, the plugins. So you see there, plugins. And we can look at the plugins that are already installed. So at the moment, SiteGround puts in its own couple of security and optimization plugins. So you got the security optimizer, which is pretty much their version to try and keep you from being, taken over by people who are trying to break in, data leaks, or if someone's used a login they shouldn't lose, all these kind of things. That's what they have put in place. They've also got this speed optimizer, which allows you to sort of speed up WordPress. Because one thing that happens with WordPress is the more things you install on it, the slower it can be, especially with plugins and really heavy themes with lots of design. So when you want to get really design oriented, or you've got really complex things you want to do with your site, you may want to run these speed optimizers. So this one's already been put in place. First thing I'm going to do in here, I'm going to enable auto updates. And the reason why I want to do that because I want to minimize the amount of time I have to spend in the future going in and updating these things. No one wants to do that, right? Now, at some point, you should be doing this at least every month to pop into your site and have a look and see if things need updating. You'll see over here with the dashboard, it'll have updates and they'll have like a little number beside it of things that require an update. In this case, these two are pretty safe plugins that I feel like are very simple to plug in, pretty simple to go with and update on their own. But what I'm going to do is add in a few extra things, right? The first thing I'm going to add in is another thing called WordFence. Now, there's tons of these different security plugins. This is just one I've used because I've found it's been very reliable in the past. Here it is, WordFence. I'm going to install this now. What this does, it puts through an additional layer of security to stop things from taking over your site. So it's installed very quickly. I can activate that, and that's now going to be live on the site. Now it's going to change nothing at the front of the website, but it's going to give you an extra panel of things to do in the back end. So it says get your WordFence license or install an existing license. Now I don't have a license, so I'm going to go get one. So it logs me over to WordFence. There's a free version. That's the only one we're going to use for now. Get a free license. It's I'd like real-time protection, or I'm waiting 30 days from protection from new threats. At the moment, I'm just going to go for that one. And I'm just going to type in my email address. where I want to receive my license key to. And yeah, security and vulnerability alerts will be good to get through there as well. And I agree to this. So I'm registering, getting WordPress free. It's going to go to my email now. So I've got to go off to my email, log into it. I've got so many different email addresses. I'll have to find the right one. I go to this one down here. Should be in there. WordFence, here it is. All right, so I've got my, I can install it automatically, or I can get the license code there. Go back and in here, go back into my plugins, install an existing license with my code that they gave me and with my email address that matches that code. Yes, I want them sent. Install the license, it's working, and now it's going to install it. And what WordFence will do is create a whole lot of extra things in the database that you won't see that will then have, you know, the information that it bases its protection on. So they've given us now this dashboard with all the information in there. It's asking me to make my site as secure as possible, take a moment to optimize it. So I'm going to click here to configure. Always do this bit. Download the HT Access Apache mod. This is pretty good. It's already recommended an update I could run. So I'm going to download this. Now, this is going to be interesting because this is something which, you know, you might not know what you're doing with that. So that's okay. Just do it anyway and then continue. It's updating a file in my installation that's going to protect me a lot more. So I'm fine with that. Do I want to stay up to date automatically? Yes, always. Just stay up to date automatically. Remember, the less work you have to do every month when you do your checks and balances, the better off you'll be. Down here, I can go through, and it's currently learning more stuff. I can look at all these different options, but to be honest, if you don't know what you're doing, you're better off just leaving the basics, saving the changes, and just going from there. Just going with the defaults, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to make a big mess of it. So you don't really want to do that. All these kind of things, they don't really make that much sense to you. Just let it go and do the actual default. So it's got the defaults that are already there. I haven't changed anything. I can go back. I've now got it set up, ready to go. Now, there are some extras you can upgrade to premium for, but when you're first getting started, unless you've got something that's really, really valuable, making lots of money, you probably want to just leave that as just the regular one. So WordFence is a good one to start with. Another one I like to set up with, because it is a part of WordPress itself. So I'm going to go back into my plugins. I'm going to go into adding a plugin. If you've got a blog, for example, so if you want to have a you know, some articles and all that sort of thing on your website, you might want to put in Akismet. So AKISMET. It's the spam protection for your blog. So when your comments you're having below your blog, it tells you to not have those. You can either install this if you plan on having a comment section. I would actually recommend you don't have a comment section. And we need to go into a certain setting to turn that off. So we go to our settings over here into discussion. So under general discussion, and we're going to turn off comments. So the comments here, users must be registered, allow people to submit comments. No, I don't want people to submit comments on new posts. I'll zoom in so you can see that. I'm going to turn that off, because what I want to do, I don't want people leaving comments. So I'm going to turn that off, and then I can go down the bottom, save my changes. And now I don't need Akismet, because I don't have any comments that will ever be showing on my blogs once I get those set up. So that's, again, a basic one. The problem with the comments is they're just about all spam. No one's going to leave a real comment on your blog. That's not what people do on websites these days. So what they'll do is that all the Russian bots will be advertising their porn sites and their value sites and their download illegal software sites. And it's a mess you just do not want to get into. So we'll leave that. Hop back out of there, going back into our plugins. What else could we do? Well, there's another thing called Google Site Kit. I'm going to type in Google. Oh, sorry, that's the plugins I've already got. I'm adding a plugin. Sorry, adding a plugin, Google. And Site Kit is your way of setting up your Google Analytics. This will take you through that. So Site Kit by Google. I'm going to go install now. It's going to install that into it. And what it's going to do is take me through the steps of doing my Google Analytics and the Google, what they used to be called Webmaster Tools, but it's now called Google Search Console. This is a way for you to be able to really follow how your content on your website's doing. So we go activate, and I've already got a Google account, so I can already do that. So I go start the setup, and I can connect Google Analytics as part of my setup. Oh, absolutely, I will. I can share anonymous usage data. Yeah, sure, why not? I don't really mind. Now I'm going to sign in with my Google account, which is this one here. And it's going to go, oh, wait, you've already got an account with us. Let's go do something else. I'll just put in my passkey. There we go. And it's going to take me into the process step by step of connecting Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So it says, make sure you trust SiteKit. Yeah, I trust it. It's been on over 600 sites before. I definitely trust it. So it's going to say, okay, we need to verify that you own this website. So I'm going to go verify. It's adding a token to the site's code, which tells it, oh, yes, we can confirm you have access to this website. So verify, and we'll automatically go and do that. So turn over its little wheel there, and it'll automatically sign up that. Now I can turn on metrics in my dashboard. When we went into WordPress, we had that dashboard, and there wasn't really much in there worth looking at. This is going to give you something worth looking at. So I'm going to allow and turn on those metrics so you can see what our traffic is like. Search Console is a sort of a monitoring of how you appear on the Google search website. So what I want to do is I want to set that up and connect it through. So I don't just have it in my website, but I've also got it over on Google as well. So have SiteKit add this to Google Analytics. Yes, I want to do that. So it's going to next, it's going to go into and connect all those Google services together. So now we're connecting Analytics. So it will need to set up a new Analytics account because I've already, a new Analytics property because I've already got an account that it'll try and connect that with. So it's just doing that connection now. Might take a couple of moments. Okay, so I want to change it in the account. I can select any one of these particular ones I want to do. I'm going to set up a new account, call it My WordPress. There's the, yep, it's exactly where it is. I'm currently in Melbourne, but I'm usually in Darwin. Enable enhanced measurement. Heck, why not? You know, let's do that too. Create the account, connect it to my SiteKit account on Google. So as long as you've got a Google account, Gmail, any of those things, you'll be able to set all this up pretty seamlessly. These steps, just go forward with them and go, yes, yes, yes. Not because we trust Google with everything we want to do, but mainly because they have selected the things they mostly need to help us to get the most out of this. So I'm just going to put in tech support, recommendations, I accept. And then what it's going to do is now I've got my dashboard set up on my website. Let's go to that dashboard. And now within my WordPress, I've now got my Google Analytics. So I don't have to go off to Google Analytics and get all confused. I've now got it all plugged into this site. So I'll be able to see as people go to my site, how they're going. So I've set it all up. We can enable those auto updates. Always, yes, definitely want to do that. And now it's gathering the data as people come to my site. So up the top here, top left, you've got the my WordPress, which will change a name once we actually have a name for our workshop or for our website. We've got the dashboard, which is the boring bit that doesn't really show much, not really much going on there. Oh, look, we've got some new things though. I'm going to do something with that in a sec. You've got your Google SiteKit here, which you can click into, and you'll be able to see that information. So I can, I can boost onboarding and security by using sign in with Google. So it allows people who are visiting your site to sign in using their Google account. You probably won't need that for most sites unless you've got a member area, perhaps. We can connect more services, but at the moment we don't need to do any of this. We just need it to just settle in and pick up traffic as it starts to come in. But what you'll be able to do eventually is go up to the top here and you'll be able to see over the last 90, 28, 14, and 7 days what your data is. And it'll show your traffic data, which we can't see right now because there is none. But this normally would have some traffic inside it. So you have all that information we've filled out with actual traffic. You can then go and see where people have gone on your website. You can see in here, once it does do the test, it'll be able to give you a bit of a review on how fast, I get rid of those hiccups, how fast your site's loading. So it's saying here that the largest contents will paint, so the time it takes for the page to load, about 1.5 seconds, which is pretty good. There are services we can use to speed that up. We're just going to leave that as is for now, because 1.5 seconds is pretty damn fast as far as a person's concerned. And then that's in the lab. In the field, they don't have any of that data available just yet, but they will once we have lots more traffic coming through. That's pretty much your Google Site Kit. So you're now connected through to your analytics and Google Search Console. So you've got some controls over how you want your website to appear in search and in Google. Now we sort of go over to the what we want our site to look like. To get to know WordPress, though, you really do need to know what all these lists of things are down here. So while we've got the dashboard and the site kit, and we've seen that, now we've got posts. Posts are like blog posts. So they are not pages, although they look like pages. They are individual articles, let's say that. So you can give them categories. And then within those categories, you've got lots of different things you've written. For example, after that, you got media, which is your media library. So we've got nothing in there. We've not loaded any images up. This is where your images, your PDFs for download, where your videos will be all located in here. And then we've got our pages. Pages are very much like posts, but they are pages, right? So instead of being regarded as categories of pages, you would have categories of posts. Difference between pages and posts are, yes, while they both display at their own unique address on your website, pages are designed to be static. They're designed to be not really changing much. Your posts will be updated all the time. You'll have new posts coming in all the time. You may want to get comments on them, that sort of thing. So they may change more frequently, but your pages tend to not change that often. Hence why they've got an example here of a sample page and a privacy policy of things that they're going to show. Then we go to comments. We're not going to have any because we turned those off, remember? And then we've got our appearance. Now, this is where we start to look at the themes we have in our site. So let's click on appearance. Here we have our themes that have been installed. So it's currently using the 2025 theme, which apparently looks a bit like that, but not really what we're seeing because we haven't put any content on there yet. That's a very confusing thing about WordPress is you think you're installing a website, but what you're installing is a system that runs websites. And while this might be an example of what a site could look like, it's not really what your site currently looks like. Remember, this is what it looks like right now. Nothing like what they're showing on that theme. But we can change our theme. So the 2024 theme here, or the 2023, for instance, I can activate another theme. It will deactivate the one we did have, which was 2025. And now we're on 2023. If I go back to here and refresh, it's a bit different. It's a little bit different, right? Not particularly outstanding, but it is different. But again, we haven't put any sort of any of our content in here. If I change it again, I could activate 2024. We can then get a completely new look again. Here we go. There you go. This one comes with a photo as well and a few bits. This is a bit, we can look at this and go, oh yeah, that actually feels a bit more like it's a website than what we were seeing with the others. So it's given us a bit more upfront. In those things, let's just say we're going to stick with 2024 for now. And this is the style, the fonts and all that we want. There are tons of other themes, right? You don't have to stick with that one. So we go to add theme. We can go for a search through tons and tons and tons and tons of other themes. So if there's something there you like, you go, oh, I like the look of that. Hatchery in 2022 is a pretty good looking one. You got more businessy looking ones here, like Responsive, Bloxy, Neve, Sydney, your website, Your Way, Cadence, you got Hestia. Now, a lot of these themes come with things that make them look good that you then have to update and change and sometimes even pay for. For example, up the top here where you've got one that was really, really popular was Astra. Astra is a themes company. So when we get that, we're getting the free version of Astra, which does a certain amount of things. But when you want to do more things, you want to get like a contact form, or you want to get, the choice of changing colors and getting more layout elements. It's going to say, oh, you need to buy the Astra Theme Pro in order to do that. And that suddenly you're going from a free theme, which looks really nice, to suddenly you're paying, X amount per month and X amount per year. And these things can go up to, gosh, often over $100 a year. So free is not always free when it comes to the WordPress ecosystem. So when you look at that and go, that looks really good, Astra is one you got to know that that's going to cost you money eventually because you're going to go a bit further than what they've done there. You can go to others, Elementor. So Elementor is another one, which is great. It's a great sort of block building tool. And there's a few of those. You've got Elementor, you've got WP Site Bakery, you've got Divi, which is one that I use quite heavily. They are all really good for building pages up nice and quick and editing them nice and quick, but they all cost money, right? Because whilst Divi at its most basic and Elementor at the most basic are free, there's 1,000 things you can plug into it that are extending what you're doing. So if you've got an eye for design and a flair for the creative, you'll be starting to rack up those extra subscriptions really quickly. So what you really want to do is get something which is going to be, very simple, free if possible, depending on the thing you want to do. What I would do is go, well, here's the business I want to build. Where is a theme on here that looks so close to what I want to do that I don't have to get too caught up doing weird stuff? So looking, going, maybe I'm an accounting firm and that looks like kind of what I want to do. I'm just going to install. I've never really seen that one before. So it's a powerful, versatile, multi-purpose theme that makes it easy, create beautiful and professional websites with over free 40 pre-designed starter demo sites to choose from. I'm liking the sound of that already. Let's install that. Let's see what it does. And this is where you get started on the design of your website. You're choosing a theme that you're going to work with, but you definitely need to choose one that's most closely aligned with what you want your website to look like. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with something you do not want to do. So I've now installed it. It's now active. Let's see what our front of our website looks like now. Different again, right? What it keeps doing is not bringing up a page for us, it's bringing up this hello world post. So what's going on there? What we need to do is we need to go and tell our site to show the front page we want it to show. So have we got any pages? Let's see, we've got pages, we've got a privacy policy and we've got a sample page. Maybe we'll make that our front page. So we need to go into our settings. This is where WordPress gets a bit annoying, right? We go to our settings. Oh, instead of my WordPress, let's just change it to business link is the name of my business. Notice it's changing the name up there. I can have a tagline. We do business better, something like that. I can choose an icon for the site. So that will be my fave icon that appears up there. So there'll be like a little logo. So I'm going to find a logo that I've got hidden away somewhere on my computer. What logos have I got that are easy to find? One there, this little bird one that looks nice. Let's load. That's going to be the logo on my site. Set as my site icon, copy image. And now when I go to my front page, refresh, it should now show the little icon. Well, once I save my settings, it'll show that icon as it's indicating there. Administration address will stay the same. Membership, that all looks really good to me. I might want to change the language to English UK or Australia, even better. Then I'll have Australian place name spellings in it. That's good. Save our changes. So we're looking at the general settings in here. As we move down, you've got writing, reading, discussion. I might try maybe reading. What's in the reading? So now we find our homepage now displays the latest posts. We don't want that. We want it to display an actual page. Which page? Sample page. It's already got that there. If I had more pages set up already, I could make it point to that. So I'm going to go to my sample page and save the changes. And now if I go to refresh my front page, it will show me the sample page with a bit more stuff on it. Not really much more, but it's got a bit more on there, right? I've got the name of the site now. We do business better. We're starting to put something together now. Now, remember when it said that it had over 400 pre-built website designs in it? Where are they? What's going on with those? So what I'm looking for is some indication of this theme that I just installed and where I might update things. Nothing's really obvious there. So if I go to appearance, which is where our themes happen to be, and we go active, Zacra, oh, there's a customize button here. Let's see what that does. So we go customize. We can view, oh, here we go. There's a pro version. Look out. So we can leave the pro version. We don't want to do that because we don't want to pay for it. So here's all the settings you might want, like a global setting. I'm not really seeing a theme that I want to follow in there, am I? So what I might do is go back out and I'm trying to look for where I start build. Oh, look, it's right there. Get started building with Zacra. So let's get started. It's going to install and activate this theme grill demo importer and block art blocks plugins, allowing you to import the theme demos. So we're going to import those theme demonstrations there. So you get all sorts of, this is their version of it. Elementor has their version of it. Elegant Themes has their version of it. Here's what they mean by these hundreds of free layouts that they've already built that you might be able to go from. So remember, we've gone from choosing a theme, and in this theme is 400 themes. Gosh, it's scary. It's also giving us options to work with different builders within. And this is when WordPress gets a bit complex. So you've got WordPress, then you've got a theme, and then you've got some builders within that theme. And within those builders, you can then have lots of different templates and layouts within that. Yeah, it does get confusing after a while. And this is why we sometimes have people who are very much specialized in this kind of stuff. We're just going to go with the Gutenberg because that's the built-in WordPress page builder. I know you're probably losing track already, right? The Elementor is one that you could use. It's free, but it's, very, very little you can do with it for free. Brizzy is another one that's free, but again, very little you can do with it. It's free. What we're going to do is look for the categories of free ones. So there's, we don't want the premium ones, but the free ones. Do we want magazine layouts? Maybe more like maybe a portfolio page. So a portfolio page for someone in the free range. I don't want premium, and just uses the Gutenberg built-in editor within WordPress. So it's giving us a bunch of these different results we can go with. So the original one that we saw, these ones, it's got these layouts that haven't even come across with a look at what they look like. There's tons of them, heaps and heaps and heaps of them in here. We just keep going on forever and ever and ever. But remember, I was kind of wanting to be a bit of an accounting firm or something. So I'm going to go Zakra Agency. And it's going to show me what it looks like. Oh, I can upload my own logo in here. So this is where it gets really nice. It actually gives you the option to be able to load in your own bits. So I'm going to continue. Block art, blocks, Everest forms, WooCommerce. Now it's asking me what features I would like to include on my site. This is what the site's going to look like. So what are the features? I don't even know what any of this means, but I have a feeling that, I don't do any block art blocks. It's not even giving me the option for it. It's already installing it. It's already installing this. It's already installing WooCommerce. And I didn't even want WooCommerce to begin with, but it's doing it anyway. This is where WordPress gets complicated, right? You're going, I don't know what I'm installing, so I'm just going to go, I'll just import the thing and import, here we go. And what it's going to do here is basically import the working model of that site template, which happens to include WordPress and WooCommerce and this particular layout. It's a shopping site, right? Even though I didn't really want to build a shopping site, but it is a shopping site. So it's going to import all those things. It's installing a bunch of plugins. So this is where WordPress goes from being quite empty to now starting to fill up with lots of different things that help you do more with it. Like, for instance, have a shop, have a blog with different layout options on that blog. It's got this fancy looking header on it. It's got particular fonts it's going to use. So it's about 15% of its way there. So it's actually downloading all this material and installing it. It's going to basically right over the top of your WordPress site that you've done things with, but it won't overwrite those plugins already got. So the site kit from Google, the WordFence, all of those are going to be fine. It's not going to mess with them. It's just going to change anything that we updated in here. So we're getting closer now to a site. So 15%, look, this might take a couple of minutes. And this is probably a really ideal time for me to go, look, this is probably the long way around doing something like this. Probably what the easiest way is to get someone to preset all this up for you. So if you don't know which domain name provider to choose and you're just going, I'm just going to go with Crazy Domains or GoDaddy. Oh gosh, please do not go with GoDaddy for your web hosting or Crazy Domains for your web hosting. Just get someone to perhaps set that up for you. And I'll give you a bit of a clue on how you can do that shortly. It's done our input, so we can view our site. So now we're going to the site and kind of looks like what I wanted. Oh, it actually looks really nice. It just did a really weird thing with that there. So I'm going to go back in and look at that, back to the dashboard, and I'm going to sort of make it a bit smaller because it's made a huge version of that of that logo. So I don't want that big logo. So I'm going to go back into my appearance and back into my Zacra. And in Zacra, I want to change over the site identity. So I want to customize. Like what you really want to do, really on this, you want to probably get someone to do this for you because it just gets a little bit scary. So 512 by 512 or 1800, but I'll take the 512 by 512. It's a little bit smaller. Let's go down here, make it a bit more compact, crop it down. And hopefully this is going to, okay, it's a little bit smaller now. So really, I just don't want it to be that big. So what I would probably do, I'd want to go and change the height of that to maybe 150. There we go. Again, smaller now, 100. That's better. That's not quite so dominant. Even go down to 80. That's way better. So I'll publish that. And now if I go to my front page, it's going to look a lot better. Not going to look quite so naff. So if we refresh that now, better. Wow, much better, isn't it? But it's also installed all the things I need to do that now. To make any of these changes, I need to go into edit page and I'll start editing the elements that are in here. So it'll have a special way of doing that within this. It's got this editor here. Think different, make different. If we look at the front page again, let's go back here. Think different, make different. If I want to change those words, let's just make it say, Darwin's #1 accountants. Not going to work in that there, but I can just go save. And then that's what published that. So I can refresh that. And then I've got Darwin's #1 accountants. Okay. So I can start to make some changes here. I can then go over to different elements within here and change them. So this here, I can click on the image, click on to change it to something else, replace the image. I can upload something from, let's just go maybe some, I don't want to load up that bird again, but I'll load up another image that I've got maybe from I got another, there you go, another logo that I might want to go. So I can just save that and then refresh my page and I can see that I've made that change. So now we're starting to see it become a bit more mine. There are lots of things you can do in here. I'm not going to go deep into this particular builder. In fact, I've never used this particular builder before. So it just shows you most of them work the same. So it doesn't matter which one you're using. They work kind of in the same way. The only thing we're doing with this one is we're using the built-in WordPress builder to do all this visually. Doesn't look like it's particularly great there, but once you refresh it over here, it's then showing everything in the full width that it's supposed to show in. So the main things we really need to look at, I guess, when it comes to once we've set up our site, we've gone live, we're all happy with it, is to maintain our site. So what we might need to do is go in there. See, they've installed a whole bunch of pages already in there that you can go and then start to edit to suit you. Your posts, it will have installed a few posts in there as well for your blog. So you can go in there and change those and look at the way they've set them up. So you can then just copy that format and then type over the top of it. If you're using Elementor or Divi or any of the other builders as well, it's all pretty much the same. You get pages, you get posts. It gives you sample data so you can mix around with that and have a play before you go live with it. It's also installed Everest Forms, so it's handling your contact forms. You will probably have to go there and have to do a little bit of configuration. Same with WooCommerce for your shop. You're going to have to do some configuration in there, get it to connect to your Square payments or your Stripe payments or your PayPal. All that sort of thing is all in the settings inside WooCommerce. You've got products in there. You want to load those up. If you have products, they've got marketing. They've got all sorts of stuff in there to help you to make this into it. And they've got all these extra things they put in like blocks and products. And there's a ton of things in there for you to explore. WordPress is a rabbit hole. You go in there, you start doing one thing and you can find you're still trying to learn how to use it 5 years later. Like I said, get someone to set it up for you. And the reason I say that is because you've got the ability to do that now through the Digital Solutions Program. If you haven't used the Digital Solutions Program before, it's a federally funded program for ABN holders. Now, they have to be for-profit businesses. They're not for-profits, but if you are a not-for-profit and you've got someone in your board or in your membership who is willing for you to use their for-profit ABN, so sole trader, company, any of those things, then you can get access to this. What it gives you is 3 hours of free access to this program to help you to do that sort of thing, set that stuff up. In some cases, you may get a complete one-page website built and hosted for you for free for the first year, and then you just pay a hosting cost after that. So TrueBlue is very good at this sort of stuff. They work with a digital solutions program to deliver this kind of thing. They will have all their own terms and conditions, and that I won't go into that so much. But what it will allow you to do is to build maybe a one-page site to get you started. But most importantly, what it does is it gets all this installation rubbish out of the way, gets you onto some hosting, which they've already vetted and they use for themselves. They can help you out with getting your domain name as well. And they can all do it through this. Now, in Northern Territory, this is done through the Business Enterprise Center NT. You don't have to go to them to get this. You just go through TrueBlue and they'll be able to do that, and they'll be able to help you out with that. You've also got in Western Australia, you can access this through Business Foundations, which is another provider. And if you're coming to us from Queensland, you'll be able to access through the Regional Business HQ. Outside of that, if you're in another state, in Victoria, South Australia, and Tasmania, I believe it is the Adelaide Business Hub is the one that does through in Port Adelaide. They've got that one in South Australia. Melbourne Innovation Centre in Victoria. And then you've got, I can't remember the name of the provider in Tasmania, but if you go through the Melbourne Innovation Centre, they'll point you through to who they are. New South Wales is Realise Business. So hopefully you picked up one of those. Now, probably most of you are in Western Australia, Queensland, Northern Territory. So what you can do is basically get in touch with myself. I'm going to send out some details in an email after this. So I'll have the who to contact and how to get hold of this to get you set up for this kind of stuff. TrueBlue is really good at this. I can thoroughly recommend them because I use them as well. It's the reason why I'm happy to recommend them, because I do use them very, very much and to do a lot of different work for me, not just WordPress stuff, but all sorts of IT stuff as well. So they'll be very happy to talk to you about that sort of thing. I'll send you that email once I get off this call. Looks like the sun's coming out for a brief visit here in Melbourne, so it's not going to be a horrible, miserable Melbourne day after all. Hope you enjoyed that and got some value out of it. I know it's really confusing to get started in WordPress, which is why we put these programs on to help you to do it. So have a play, get started. If you get stuck, reach out to me. Ask me about that program and how we can connect you through to get some free time with the guys at TrueBlue to help you to get that stuff sorted and underway. Have a great evening wherever you are in Australia. Hope you really get some value out of this. And yeah, don't be too afraid of WordPress, because like most things in tech, once it's set up, there's not really that much you need to do. It kind of really takes care of itself to a point. Thank you. Have a great afternoon and evening, and I'll see you again soon.